here or three here to three, where it looked like there was a production line.
Oh no, well, not so much a production line, but what you'll do is you'll get areas where people were manufacturing tools, and you'll get areas of the debris where that are in situ features, and by in situ I mean just as they left it, just like right here. If you removed everything else and you saw this material just right here as you're walking across a plateau surface, and you came up on this like, oh, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so you'll get those things, and then you get other areas that are really more intensive production, where you get a lot of flakes, maybe thousands of flakes, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. And then,
tell them about Lithics really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there is this site in France that my colleagues in the Galt Lab are really interested in called Lithics, and it's a Salutrian flint knapping site. And at this site, there is archaeological verification of a learning technique called scaffolding. And so with scaffolding, you have kind of a master flint knapper and an apprentice flint knapper, and they're sitting together and they're working on the same piece of stone. The apprentice flint knapper will work on it until he or she screws up and can't go any further, then hand it over to the master fixes it, hands it back to the apprentice. And so in the way, the learning still takes place, but also at the same time you end up with a usable tool. And at the site called Lithics, they found these areas. They did a massive amount of refits. They have like 60,000 flakes that refit back on the bifaces. It's incredible. And I have no idea how they pulled that off. Refitting is so difficult. But so at Lithics, though, they have these areas where there would be two different debitage piles that fit to a single biface. And one of the piles is all these kind of crappy, janky flakes, and the other one is all these really nice flakes that fixed all those mistakes. And so they found evidence of that sort of learning technique at that place. Wow. And so it's not exactly an assembly line, it's more of like a back and forth learning process.
Have you found any evidence?
Yeah, it is a French term, yeah. I always translate it to pile of flakes. But apparently in France, they're very snooty about it. It means a specific type of flaking like technology that I don't even remember. But so we kind of bastardized the term a little bit.
Have you ever found any evidence, I guess, I don't know how you could do it from a site, but of people coming in going, oh, you know, maybe someone who wants to cut something. You guys are working, but maybe the ladies that come through and pick up stuff to work with. Have you found evidence of that? Or I don't know if you can.
You probably
maybe
can, but it
to
would be difficult.
You'd go through the etymology.
Because there are some like refit studies and stuff that have been done where they've been able to refit flakes to a tool, but the tool is missing. So you can get like the cast of the tool based on all the flakes that were refit around it. But that's
not even a refit. I mean, just like I could walk through right here and say, well, I need to do some corn stuff. I need to peel off the corn. Can I just...
Yeah. So I mean, and that definitely happens all the time. But when it's like just a single flake that's taken off and utilized, it's a lot harder to figure out. You know, the absence of that data is way harder to ascertain from like that.
And people that are existing today that maybe are still using stone tools. I mean, I don't know in the research that you've done of living people.
There are some groups in Ethiopia, I think. I don't know if they still do it, but at least back in the 20th century, they were still using stone hide scrapers because stone scrapers work better on hide than metal.
Yeah.
And so that sort of thing was still taking place. And I think there was some group in Turkey that still used stone for something, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
And then, of course, historically, you had the gunflint makers.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a...
Chris, is that an elk?
Yeah, this is an elk billet. So now I'm doing the soft hammer percussion, right? And so it's a different kind of fracture than the BB gun thing. More rather than a conical fracture, it's more of a bending fracture, right? And so you can see that like the little flakes that are coming off, I'm getting little paper cuts. That's all right. And so right here, I made like a biface, right? So I've kind of roughed out kind of a thick biface, but it's nice and flawless and homogeneous through and through. So this is a blank. I can turn this into any number of tools. So along with my other flakes that I like here, so if this is my quarry site, these are the flakes that I like. And this gets to, who was asking the question about, forgive me, Judy? Yeah. So yeah, sure, you can go through here and pick up any number of flakes that have razor sharp edges and use them as an expediency tool, absolutely. Yeah. And you may or may not want to take them with you, you know. So this is what I like. All that stuff can stay behind. This is what becomes, in terms of my quarry site, this is, you know, what is represented in the archaeological record. This is what's missing. This is what we don't get to see. So what does this tell me about the behavior, about what they were making? So I can tell what kinds of pieces that they were making just by the kinds of debris that they leave behind. So like in this particular instance, you can see the larger pieces right here. Clearly they're doing hard hammer work. And I come over here, I'm seeing all these soft hammer bending fractures. They came in with a billet, and they started doing a little bit of early biface work. So you can interpret, you know, the kinds and sometimes the amount of things that are being made just by the debris that's left behind. So that gets back to Sergio's, you know, behavioral interpretation using stone.
It's kind of general.